Good day, everybody. Welcome back. We will continue today with the Mishnah at the bottom of Pei Vav Amud Beis, little Chazara, and then we'll go straight into the Gemara on Pei Zayin Amud Aleph, continuing all the way to Pei Zayin Amud Beis. The Mishnah says at the bottom of Pei Vav Amud Beis, Kasav la neder b'shvua inni alayich. If a man writes to his wife in the Kesuba that he is not going to force her to take a neder or a shavua, in yachal lahashbi'a, he can't force her to take that shavua. Ava mashbi'ahu es yorsheha v'esaboim b'rishusa. However, he is permitted to force her inheritors or those who take her place. In other words, the lekuchos that bought her shtar from her, the bought her ksuba, and are coming to collect in place of her. The Baal can force them to take a Shavua. The Gemara will define exactly what Shavua we're talking about, what Shavua would have she been required to take. Neder u'Shavua einli alayich ve'al yorshayich ve'al aboim b'rishuseich ein yochel hashpia lo hiv lo yoshev lo es aboim b'rishusa. If he writes specifically in the shtar that he will not force her, or her yorshim, or anyone who comes in her place to take a shavua, then he may not force any of them. However, his yorshim, if he dies, his yorshim then can go and demand a shavua from her, ves yorsheha, or from her yorshim, ves aboim b'rishusa. Neder b'shvua ein li v'lo yorshai lo v'lo aboim b'rishusai alayich. He writes this whole long clause in the shtar that not only he nor his yorshim nor those that come in his place will ever require a shavua from her or anyone in her place or her yorshim. Then in yochel hashbi'a lo hu v'lo yorshav v'lo aboim b'rishusa lo so v'lo yoshev v'lo aboim b'rishusa. Then neither he nor those who come or inherit him where those who come in his place are able to force a shvuah from her, or her yorshim, or those who come in her place. In other words, she gets off, there can be no shvuahs that are demanded at all. She gets off scot-free. Oh, shechaz l'beis chamev l'nasis apetropa, in a yorshim hashbinosa. A new halacha. If she never became an apotropos, she never took control of his property, i.e., she went straight from the funeral ceremony back to her father's house. She had no rights, no control over any of his property or possessions. Or, alternatively, she went back to her husband's house, but she did not take control of the possessions. Then no one can demand her to take a shavua. And if she does become an apotropos, if she does take control of the husband's possessions, that which the husband exempt her of a shavua was only as long as he is alive. Once he dies, now the yorshim can demand her to take a shavua for anything that occurred after death. The Gemara will define exactly what it means after death, before kavura or only after kavura. Shavua maya virita. The Gemara asks a very simple question. What shavua are we discussing? What did she do that necessitates her to take a shavua? That they can't come around and just demand randomly, hey lady, you have to take a shavua. No husband can go to his wife and just say you need to take a shavua for no reason at all. What did she do that all of a sudden the husband now potentially would have the ability to demand a shavua that he's exempting her from? Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav al apitropa shenasas bechaye baila. He's exempting her from the shavua of apitropsis. That he's saying, if during this marriage you will take control over my possessions, that I will appoint you as the one in charge of my estate, then I will exempt you. I would have the ability, says the husband to his wife, I should have the ability to then demand of you to take a shavua that you are handling it correctly, that you are not mishandling my possessions and my property. Comes the Baal and he says, however, here I will exempt you. I will let you off, and you will not. I will never require you to take that shavua. Rav Nachman Amar Rabba Baravua al hapogemes ksubasa. He's saying, no, I'm letting her off of a different shavua. When he writes in the shtar that he's not going to force her to take a shavua, he's saying, Im yavo yom, if the day will come that she'll need money, and therefore she'll ask for a forward on the money of the ksuba. She'll say, instead of waiting until after chas v'shalom divorce or death to get my ksuba payment, I'm going to take a little bit of it now. Instead of waiting for 10, 20, 30, 40 years to get the ksuba, I'll take 100 of those 200 zuz today. Take 100 today. She's pogemes, she is now deducted from the value of the ksuba. On that, when the time will come to pay the ksuba, the husband will say, I already paid you back. I don't need to pay you the full amount. I know the ksuba was 200, I agree with you, but you already got paid 100. And the woman says, I want my money, I want it all. On that case, the husband can then demand from the woman, he can demand his wife, ex-wife, to take a shavua that she only received 100, and he still needs to pay her back the additional 100. Also, Rav Mordechai, Amr l'shmaisa kamei de Rav Ashi. Rav Mordechai goes and tells us, teaching this machlokes, Rav Nachman and Rav Yehuda to Rav Ashi. I understand why a husband will write in a shtar ksuba when they're getting married that he's exempting her from a shavua. Maybe, perhaps, Yavo Yom, the day will come that she'll need money and she'll demand the payment earlier. She'll be pogemes b'ksubasa. The mitztach is she'll need the money, v'shakilin b'ksubasa, and she'll take from her ksuba money. So therefore he says, l'chatchila v'amalek soivli delay mishaba'asli. The woman says to the husband, right in the shtar, that you're not going to demand from me to take a shavua when I want to collect the rest of the money of the ksuba. So that makes sense. People think about that. The lady will have thought about that at the time of marriage. But according to the opinion that he's exempting her from a situation where she became an apotropis, where she took control of his possessions while he is still alive. He went on business vacation and he appointed his wife to take control of the estate and the property. How would she have known that he's going to, the moisiv, that he's going to make her into an apotropos? How did he know? How would she have thought at the time of the wedding that maybe the day will come that he's going to go on a business vacation, or he's going to go away, and he's going to make me in charge of the property? That now, at the time of the wedding, she says, hey husband, make sure you're writing the ksuba that you're never going to demand a shavua from me for the apotropsis. She had a havamina, she was going to come an apotropos one day. It's not normal, it doesn't happen often. So Amar Lei says Rav Ashi, Aton Ahomas Nisula, Onon Ahomas Nisanla. You taught this statement of Rav Yehuda and Rav Nachman as a machlokes. They were arguing about the reisha of the Mishnah when the husband says that he's not going to demand the shavua. What shavua is it? Is it bokemes ksubasa, or is it apotropsis? How could it be apotropsis? Says Rav Ashi, that's not the way it works. It's not a machlokas of Nachman and Rav Yehuda. They're talking about two completely separate cases. They're talking about separate cases. Of course, when the husband writes in the ksuba that he's not going to demand a shavua, that's referring to a shavua of pogemes ksubasa. That which Rav Yehuda said about apotropsis, that's referring to the seif of the Mishnah. That's referring to the later case in the Mishnah where he says that he's not going to demand, if she becomes an apotropis, then she doesn't have to take a shavua. The Gemara explains. if she goes straight home and she doesn't become an apotropos on the husband's property. So then the Yorshim are not able to force her to take a Shavua. However, but if she did become an apotropia, then the Yorshim are able to demand a Shavua for that which is going to occur, that which happens in the future, that she's not going to misappropriate her ex-husband's, her dead husband's property and possessions. However, the Yorshim are not able to demand a Shavua for that apotropsis that occurred while her husband was still alive. What's the Havamina that they would be able to demand a Shavua for that which occurred while the husband was alive? Why would we ever think of such a thing? Why should the Yorshim be able to demand her to take a Shavua that she didn't mishandle her husband's possessions while he was alive? That they're not able to demand her to take a Shavua for the situation where she became an apotropis, where she became in charge of the estate while her husband was still alive. That is the chiddush of the Seifa of the Mishnah. Ala Osid, that which occurs after death, that the Yorshim can then demand the woman to take a Shavua that she didn't mishandle, she didn't steal, she didn't take anything from the husband's estate. However, that which she was an apotropos b'chayei baila, though on that situation the Yorshim are not able to demand her to take a Shavua. Aval be'misa l'kavura, says the Gemara, that implies from the time of death until kavura, i.e. a small couple hours, maybe day or two, that they're waiting for the burial to take place. Now, all of a sudden, the dead man's possessions are inherited by the Yorshim. Right now, they're in front of the Yorshim, right? So in that situation, is that considered al-avar? Is that considered something that's synonymous to chayei baila? Or is that considered al-asid, something that's occurring after death? L'chayr, it's something that happened after death. And therefore, the Yorshim can say that which our father let you off the hook from any Shavua doesn't apply to that which occurs right after death. So be'misa lekvura, mashbi'in law, they can demand that she didn't misappropriate or mishandle any of his money, his possessions, or his property. Rav Masna Amar afilu be'misa lekvura lo mashbi'in law says no. Between Misa and Kivura is a very hectic, stressful time. And during that time, the Yorshim are not able to demand a Shavua from the lady. That is equivalent and synonymous to Bechayei Baila. Why? The Amri Nahardoi, the Charga Ulemizoine Ulekvura Mazbinon Beloy Achrazasa. That if the Yorshim inherit from their father, inheritors inherit possessions, property from their father, and now all of a sudden comes along the charga for the head tax. The government comes along and says we demand taxes. We don't have to go and announce. Beis Din doesn't have to go and announce and tell the Yorshim we're going to sell some of your father's possessions in order to pay the head tax. Beis Din is allowed to and obligated to go and take care of the head tax without, they don't need the approval of the Yorshim. That's B'liach Razasa. Similarly, Beis Din is allowed to do that, to pay for the mezainis that the father obligated himself for his wife, for his children. They're also able to go into the possessions, into the estate, and sell something in order to pay for his own kivura. Mazbinin beloyach is also without any prior announcement or consent of the Yorshim. Says Rav Masna, similar, just like we're allowed to go into the estate in order to pay for Kavura, so to the lady, during the stressful time between Mitzvah and Kavura, is allowed to sell things from the estate to pay for Kavura without without the fear of the Shavua riding on her back. Amar Rabba, Amar Rab Chia, Deloi neder v'deloi Shavua, when yochel ashbia. If he wrote in the Shtar, Ksuba, Deloi, the Lashon that he will not, there will not be a Shavua, there will not be a neder. He's not allowed to demand the Shavua of Al Yarshim Ashbino, so then the Yarshim are able to. That Lashon written in the Shtar, the phrase was Deloi, then the Yarshim are allowed to force her to take a Shavua. Naki neder, Naki Shavua, Bein Yarshim, Ein Mashbian Osa. However, if the clause he used in the Shtar was Naki neder, Naki Shavua, not Dilo, but Naki, then that also indicates that the Yarshim are not going to demand the Shavua as well. Hachika Amar, La. Hachika Amar La. Minakas Mishvuasa. You have been exempt, you have been let off, you are clean from any Shavua. Rav Yosef Amar Rabbi Chia, Deloi neder v'deloi Shavua, hu ein yochel ashbia val Yarshim ashbinosa. If he wrote the law, then he's not allowed to force her to take a Shavua, but the Yarshim are. Naki neder, Naki Shavua, bein Yarshim, mashbian osa. The Lashon Naki comes along Rav Yosef, and he argues, says the Lashon Naki neder doesn't mean that she's exempt, she's clean from taking another Shavua. It means as follows. Hachika Amar Lo. Naki nafshecha bishvuasa. Make yourself clean. In other words, get yourself off the hook, exempt yourself by taking a Shavua. The machlokas about the Lashon Naki. Shalach Rav Zakai lemar Ukva. Bein deloi Shavua. Bein denaki Shavua. Bein deloi neder, bein denaki neder. Me nechasai hu einu yochel ashbia. If he said from my me nechasai, then he's not allowed to demand a Shavua. Aval Yarshim mashbin also. Minechasyon ilan. But if he said from these possessions, if he said from my possessions, that says he is not allowed to demand the Shavua. But he says from these possessions, so that means even upon death, it's the same possessions. And therefore not only he, but also his Yarshim are not able to demand the Shavua. Bein Yarshav, ein mashbin osa. Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel, Mishum Abba Shaul ben Ima Miriam. Rav Nachman says the name of Shmuel, and then the same name of Abba Shaul, whose mother was Miriam. Bein Delo Shavua, bein Denaki Mishvua. Bein Delo Neder, bein Denaki Neder. Bein Minechasai, bein Mechasad Alin. Bein Yarshav, ein mashbin osa. Comes along Abba Shaul and expands it, and he says not only when he says from my possessions, but even when he says, not only when he says from these possessions, but even when he says from my possessions, that also exempts her from a Shavua from him and from his Yorshim. Aval ma'aseh sharei amru chacham b'al bar min yisoyim lo yifara b'Shavua. However, Abba Shaul says you're right that he exempted her scot-free from the Shavua. Nonetheless, now when she comes to collect her ksuba from the Yarshim, she says, "Pay me back. I need to get my ksuba." And the Yarshim say, "Hold on. If you want to get ksuba money from us, so you have to make sure that you didn't take any in the past. You were not betropis. Please take a shavua that you didn't take any money from our father." She says, "Hold on, but it says in my ksuba, bein minchasai, minchasan alin. Either way, I'm parted from shavua." So that's true. However, if you want to come and get paid back from the nechasim of Yisoimim, then the lady has to take a shavua. Even though he exempted her from a shavua, Chazal came along and kicked in a new shavua. Ikeda Amri. Law Masnisan. There are those that taught the statement of Abba Shaul not as a Meimra de Amoraim, as a statement of the Amoraim b'Shem Shmuel, but it was a Taka Abraisa. Abba Shaul ben Ima Miriam Amar bein deloi Shua, bein denaki Shua, bein deloi neder, bein denaki neder, bein nechazah ben nechazah aloin, bein hu bein Yarshav, ein mashbin osa. Ava ma'aseh shari amru chachamim hu ba lepar min nechazah shem lepar b'Shavua. The exact same halacha from Abishal, that really she should be exempt from the Shavua scot-free because of what was written in the shtar. Nonetheless, Chazal instituted a Shavua midrabanan to force her to take a Shavua because she's coming to get paid from the Chasan of Yisayim. Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel, halacha keben ima Miriam, the halacha is like Abba Shaul, who is the son of Ima Miriam. Says the Mishnah, Hapukzemis Kesubasa lo tifaha ela b'shavua. If a lady, we mentioned the Shavua of Bekius Kesubos a moment ago, that she needed to take a forward, she needed to get her money in advance from her Kesuba. So therefore, even though he wasn't chayiv to pay her yet, she asked him for a advance payment. So when she comes to get the rest of her Kesuba money, she must take a Shavua. If an Eirecha comes along, and the Gemara, the Mishnah is going to define exactly each one of these cases explicitly. An Eirecha comes along, then it says Eirecha meida shi parua, that the shtar was already paid back. The husband does not need to pay the rest of the ksuba. Then she can still collect with a shavua. The Bach here. It's very important to point out the girsa of the Bach. Minechasim mishubadim. Right? Minechasim mishubadim. Umenichse yisoimim. He changes the order. Vanifarish shaloi bifanav. All of these cases, loitifarav b'shvua, she needs a shvua. Nechasim mishubadim means that she's going to collect from the lekuchos. The husband sold the property and she's going to collect from the lekuchos. Or nitchasim v'yisaymim, after he died, the husband died. Or shalei b'fanav, that she's going to collect her ksuba and he is not around. For whatever reason, he's left and he's no longer around. She's going to collect her ksuba, so she needs to take a shavua. Apogemis ksuba cases. Now the Gemara, the Mishnah goes on to elucidate and clarify each one of these cases that we've listed. How does it happen? She had a ksuba for 1,000 zuz. Nice hefty sum. And he says to her, you already received your ksuba. She says, give me my 1,000 zuz. No, you already paid you. I only got 1 mana. I only got 100. You still owe me 9. If she's now willing to take a shavua that she only got 100, then the Baal must pay the other 9. What's the case of an Eirecha? The ksuba again was worth 1,000 zuz, and she said, and the husband says, you already received it. I already paid you. I didn't get it yet. And the Eirecha says, no, it's already paid off. Then, if she wants to get her ksuba, she needs to take a shavua and then she can collect it. And Eirecha, we know, isn't believed in Dinei Mamnis 100%. It's not believed to the degree to prove the husband's point, and therefore we don't believe Eirecha that the ksuba was paid in full, but still we take his opinion into consideration that Eirecha has enough power in order to demand a shavua. What's the case of nechasim mishubatim? Machar kol nechasav le'acherim. The husband sold all of his property. V'ini fraz min hagluchos. Lo yitifar b'shvua, and she's going to get paid back from the lukuchos. She's going to get her ksuba from the gluchos. She needs to take a shavua that she didn't get paid yet. Nechasim yisoyim ketzad. Mace, the husband died. When he had inheritors, he left over the property to his orphans. She's going to get paid back from the Yisayim like the B'shvua. And what's the case of Shaloi B'fanav? He went to Australia. He went away to Australia. She's in Eretz Yisrael. She wants to get her ksuba money, and he's in Australia. She's getting paid back from his possessions while he is not around. He has somebody in charge of his possessions, a lawyer. He has somebody that's in charge of his possessions. And she's going to get paid back, then she needs to take a shvuah. And first with the shvuah. Turning the page, Rabbi Shimon Omer calls manchi tovas ksubasa hayorshin mashbiin osa. V'meinu tovas ksubasa inu yorshin mashbiin osa. The Gemara is going to define what case Rabbi Shimon is arguing on. We'll get there, Mirza Hashem, tomorrow. Nonetheless, Rabbi Shimon says, anytime she demands her ksuba, I didn't get paid yet, then she's got to take a shvuah. However, if she's not tovas ksuba, if she's not demanding her ksuba, she doesn't need to take a shvuah. The Gemara then goes on to be medayik in the Mishnah. Sava Ram B'Chama L'Meimar, Ram B'Chama thought to say, the implication of the Mishnah, Shavua de'oraisa, is that this Shavua of Pogemis Ksubasa should be a Shavua de'oraisa. Why? The Katay Masayim Kol Moedele B'Meya. Havle Hoydol B'Miksa Satayna. V'chol HaMoedel B'Miksa Satayna Yishava. There's a din de'oraisa of Moedel B'Miksa. Kiyuzeh. So the din de'oraisa of Moedel B'Miksa, that if a man demands 200, and the defendant says, I don't owe you 200, I owe you 100. I agree that I owe you, but I only owe you 100. That's called modeh b'miktas, and that's a chiv shavua min ha'teira. So therefore, Sava Rami Bar Chama to say that the implication of the Mishnah, Pogemis Ksubasa, should be a classic case of modeh b'miktas. The wife says, you owe me 1,000. And he says, no, I don't. No, I don't. You already received it. She says, no, I only received 100. You still owe me 900. So Amar Rava, shtei shuvos utabar. It's not a shvuah deraisa for two reasons. Two reasons that it's not a shvuah deraisa. First of all, chada the golden shmoy shabbatayir nishmoy v'loy misham v'nishmos v'netelos. First of all, when the Torah says to take a shvuah, every time the Torah demands a shvuah, that's in order to exempt payment. Ruvain says, Shimon, you owe me 200. Shimon says, no, I don't owe you 200. I only owe you 100. So Ruvain says, okay, so take a shvuah. You only owe me 100. What happens after Shimon takes the shvuah? He only pays 100. He doesn't have to pay the other 100. He's exempt on the other half because he took a shvuah. So anytime the Torah demands a shvuah, it's in order to exempt payment. It's liftar, not l'chayiv. Here, the woman is going to take a shavua that she still owed 900 and she's going to collect those 900. So it must not be a shavua deraisa of owed. The other reason that it's not a shavua deraisa is because the Torah only demands shavuas when they're not connected to karkais, when they're not connected to lien on property. Here, the woman has a lien on his property. If he can't pay in cash, so she's allowed to go. She goes and collects from his property. It's based upon a shiva karkais. So therefore, there's no din of shavua midaraisa from shiva karkais when shiva karkais is involved. Amar Rava midirabanan. It's a shvua derabanan. If it's a shvua derabanan, so if it's a shvua derabanan, why is she taking the shvua? Why isn't he taking the shvua? Why is it a shvua that she has to take and now collect, and not he has to take and then get off the hook? The para daik, the mifra loy daik. The one who pays is careful. So therefore, we have more inclination to believe when she says you owe. When he says, "I paid you back." No, you didn't. You only paid me 100. We have more inclination to believe him because people are more careful when they're paying than when they're getting paid. Therefore, the rabbis slapped a shavua on her in order that she should be careful to ensure that she's careful that she got paid back. What about a case where she's got paid back with Aiden? With Aiden, what happened here? In other words, we have Adim that he paid her back 100. We have Adim that she got paid half of the value of the ksuba, and he says, "You pay me back the whole thing. Take a shavua that I didn't pay you back the rest." So she says, "Hold on. That 100 you paid me back with Aiden. The fact that you don't have Aiden on the other 100 indicates that you didn't pay me back the other 100. Just like you would have brought Aiden in the first payment, you would have brought Aiden on everything." So there, do im isa de para be Aiden have a para? If you would have paid back the whole amount, you would have Aiden on the whole amount. No, what do we say? That he had Aiden for this, he didn't have Aiden for that. So whatever he had Aiden for, that's what he used them for.